What I define as the key moments in my life thus far are easily traceable and mostly visual, a mere scroll, tap or search engine away reflecting the cultural trend of 21st century life. This instantaneous documentation and accessible nature of personal history that has been possible through advancements in technology has triggered my curiosity in respect to my nan's personal history. What would be on her timeline? Who would she tag in photos? What did she like or share? Furthermore, I wonder if the difference in the way in which we catalogue our personal history has any ramifications. Have we been so focused on fitting our thoughts into 100 characters that we forgot our character? Are we so fixated with capturing the moment aesthetically that we can't recount through taste, touch, smell or sound? This is the story of my nan Patricia Bravery and some of her favourite memories that reveals the power of an approach to life that values full participation primarily, with any record or physical capturing of such secondary. I haven't many photos of me and my family. I guess having 5 girls and a boy, my mum and dad were very busy. We lived in a white house in Ostomer in North Wollongong. I was very close to my dad. He taught me how to swim and took me to footy matches. He called me patty cakes, and I think he's the reason I went into nursing, as he encouraged me to look at people with compassion and be solution-minded. My mother was the best cook in the world. My favourites included steak and kidney dumpling, lemon meringue pie, and this apple sauce she used to put on roast pork. I spent a lot of time at the dinner table till I ate all my vegetables. I actually slept there many a night, as my mum was a very stubborn woman. This is what I greatly contribute my dislike of any green vegetable to. I met Lionel on the train to school. Our first date was on the 21st of the 12th, 51, at a church dance in Ostomer. He asked me by letter to attend. I was only allowed to go because it was a church event. I remember thinking how handsome he was and how green his eyes were. On our 4th date, we went to the movies and we sat in the back row. He held my hand the entire film and I thought it was the best day ever. I think I smiled for a week. We got married in 1953 when we were 19 years old. Our wedding car was a 1925 T-model Ford and we got married at the Royal Railway Institute Hall. Lionel had the most obscene sense of humour and would get us into trouble all the time in public, pulling pranks or being silly in the street. We had 2 children, Susie Jane in 1960 and Mark Regiment in 1962. Our children brought so much joy to our lives, at times I felt selfish that I had it all. However, Lionel was also ill many times and in hospital with complications from diabetes most of his days after Mark was born. In 1968, one such complication ruined his eyesight and he became blind. Whilst he taught himself Braille, his work as a radiographer had to stop and unfortunately he passed away later that year. It broke my heart as he was my first love and we had planned a life together, but I had 2 kids to raise so I just got on with it. I dedicated myself to my career as well as my children. I went from being a nurse on ward to working in hospital administration. I did a diploma through Armidale University and worked my way up at both Dapdale and Parramatta Hospital, becoming nurse unit manager across different wards in my time. Whilst I was successful with my work, I was lonely as Sue and Mark became busy developing their own careers and relationships. I had a few dates here and there, but there appeared to be a shortage of 40 to 50-year-old men. In 1983, I took a cruise to Hawaii after the kids made me and met Peter. We locked eyes across the room and I remember thinking he was the most striking man I had ever met. Life changed for me after that. He was the marketing director of OPSM in Melbourne and my world went from working class to first class. We travelled the world, owned boats and moved to Queensland. We had fun and he offered me not a better life than Lionel, but a different one. We got married and made the most of our days. After contracting an infection from what was meant to be a simple procedure at Gold Coast Hospital, Peter passed away very suddenly in 2001. Whilst this was another heavy shock in my life, I was so grateful for our time together. Now my life is in essence a routine of catching up with my grandchildren and spending my days at the cafe across the road. They have a sign on one of their tables that says Pat's Table and no one has ever dared sit in it. When I think back on my life, I think how lucky I was to find love twice. To finish my story, I wish to say how precious it is to have memories that are mine alone. On the internet today, you see everyone's business and often things which I would deem intimate or private. Whilst I have photos of my life, they are but few, and the box of letters, cards, jewellery and sentimental pieces are important to me. They are not everything. If my house burned down tomorrow, I wouldn't grab the albums, but rather I'd make sure my family was safe. In conclusion, I think technology has greatly changed the way we document history and perhaps negatively. You can make memories or record them, and my nan knew the difference.